Dan Ashworth was headhunted for many, many months. He was obviously chased for about 10 months. I think he was on guardian leave for 4 or 5 months. He was paid millions of pounds for. I worked with Dan Ashworth at the FA for probably 2 years, and he's been very successful wherever he's been, at Brighton, West Brom, the FA, at Newcastle most recently. I'm really shocked this morning that this has happened, and it's not a great look at all. It's something that's going to need a lot of explaining, and I think that the statement that the club have put out is really poor.
But like I said, this is a long journey. We have to continue. We are improving in some aspects. We have to win games to help us to improve the team.
Oh. Well, we'll get back to Gary Neville and Ruben Amorim in just a quick second. But remember, you know how this works. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. And if you've got anything to say about this absolute circus that is Manchester United, please put it in the comments. I am very keen to read what you've got to say. And I'm going to be giving my thoughts about this whole debacle during this video. We're going to be hearing from Ruben Amorim, his reaction to the strange defeat by Nottingham Forest, a game that I was at. I was there. I saw the game firsthand. I was in the Alex Ferguson stand. So I'm going to be giving my thoughts as I saw it from the Alex Ferguson stand. Also, I'm going to be giving my thoughts on the situation with Dan Ashworth. But we're going to hear from Gary Neville and his brutally honest opinion about that whole situation too. And I'm going to be responding to Gary and the situation and all that good stuff. But remember, please do stick around after the little clips that I'm going to show that's going to stimulate my discussion. And please, I want to hear what you've got to say. Anyway, here we go.
Well, Ruben, not the result you wanted, obviously. What are your thoughts on the game right now?
Tough game. We start really bad in the first play. We suffer a goal, and then it's hard in this context to try to fight that. But we then control the game. We had a lot of situations. We improve, I think, the movement in the last third, especially in the beginning of the first half after the goal of Nottingham. But then we block a little bit the game. We managed to draw the game, and then in the half time we were ready to go for the win, and then start again really bad. 2 goals, and then we try everything with not a lot of quality, but we try it, and then we lose the game. We didn't have many situations to score. We had some, but tough game in the tough moment, but we have to continue the job.
You said about the poor starts to both half. That first goal after Wednesday, corners, is that extra disappointing for you?
Of course, and we are just focused on that. We had 2 days when we focused a lot on that, but they managed to score again. It's hard. It's hard for the team because I think the team felt a little bit. The public also felt that moment, and you can feel it. But like I said, this is a long journey. We have to continue. We are improving in some aspects. We have to win games to help us to improve the team.
Do you learn more from defeats than you maybe do from victories, from your players, about your players, and about the job that you've got?
You pay more attention. But in this moment, even if you win, we are in the start of something so big that we pay attention in every detail. And we'll be there again, the next game and the next game. That's it. That we already know that is a big job, so we have to continue.
Thanks, Ruben.
Well, we'll start with the game itself. I was at the game and it was so strange. I didn't feel as though we played that bad. It's just, I don't get Manchester United. I don't get it. We've got some really good players. We should be beating Nottingham Forest at home. I don't care how good Nottingham Forest are at the moment, or how much form they are in, we've got world-class players playing for our team. We've got players playing for Manchester United that have played Champions League finals. We've got players that have won the Champions League playing for Manchester United. Yet we can't beat Nottingham Forest at home. I've got some thoughts as to why we lost today. I think the formation's fine. I think the 3-4-3 formation is working quite well. It's creating problems for the opposition. It's very fluid. It can transition to be very defensive. It can also transition to be very attacking. We can control possession when we want to. The tactics themselves just seem to be fine. There just seems to be weird mistakes. I mean, Martinez and DeLicht are two excellent defenders, but there was a couple of instances where they were just kind of all over the place, which wasn't good to see. And the goal Onana conceded was just weird. It's like, come on, Andre. Come on, mate. That's just silly. And I heard earlier this morning when I was talking to the Big D's dad, he was saying that David De Gea is just playing absolutely magnificent football, keeping goal excellently well in Italy at the moment. And it's like, there's a legend that just didn't need to go. Damn you, Ten Hag! I blame you for that. But, just some weird mistakes. I mean, Nottingham Forest's first goal was actually a really good goal. I remember seeing it. It just corner, bang, goal. It was like, wow. But there didn't necessarily seem to be any dejection in the crowd. The crowd were, I don't know, they weren't necessarily pessimistic. We always looked like we could score. And yeah, it just felt like it wasn't a problem. I didn't really feel at any point we were going to lose the game, which is really weird, but we lost the game. Rashford didn't really do anything when he came on. I didn't see Garnacho do too much. Rasmus Højlund was always a thorn in the opposition side. I think Rasmus Højlund is a really good player. At the very least, he puts the effort in. Bruno Fernandes, I thought, played fine. He was involved in everything that we were doing. Everything good that we were doing seemed to be going through him, which was good. Ugarte just seems to get better and better and better with each passing game. Mazraoui, when he did come on, he was fine. Lenny Yoro, it's too early to say anything about Lenny Yoro, really. Diogo Dalot, fine. Kobbie Mainoo, fine. It was just a couple of soft goals cost us that game. So really, you could see it was Onana's fault and the defence's fault. I think the issue seems to be, and it's really annoying me now, he keeps on substituting players all the time. He keeps on changing the starting 11 all the time. So I almost don't really want to blame Onana or De Ligt or Martinez for them just being kind of clumsy together at the moment, because they're not used to playing with each other. You know, whenever they're about to get into a rhythm of playing with each other and understanding each other's idiosyncrasies and just getting on the same wavelength when they can anticipate each other's movements and actions and things like that, then the manager Amorim brings on Maguire, or he puts Luke Shaw in central defence, or something stupid, you know. And it's like, just let them play. And so what if they're tired? So what? This is the Premier League. Just let them get through it and build that match fitness. So that's really starting to irk me. I see so many positives. I do. I see so many positives in this 3-4-3. The players seem to be enjoying it, and it seems to be very, very technical and very tactically astute. But the players are just not. They're just not being allowed to get used to it and just to express themselves with it. And then, so we were 3-1 down. I mean, I actually missed Nottingham Forest's second goal. I was getting a drink at a half time, and I came to my seat and I sat down, and my friend said to me, "Oh, I take it you missed that debacle?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess I did." And I thought that United had just missed a sitter or something like that. And then all of a sudden, Nottingham Forest scored, and I'm like, "Oh no, it's 2-1." But then I looked at the scoreboard and it said 3-1, and I'm like, "What? 3-1? What have I missed?" And then it dawned on me, that's what he was talking about. And it's like, what's going on with this club? So it just seems to be really chaotic at the moment. But that's fine. You know, there was still plenty of time in the game. And then Bruno Fernandes scored a really good goal. And then a few minutes later, he takes him off. And I'm like, why are you taking Bruno off? He's our captain. He's our best player. He's just scored a goal. And I've since heard that Amorim took him off because he thought he was tired. He didn't look tired to me. And okay, so if he is tired, let him finish the game because he's clearly on a roll. He's just scored a good goal. Give him a couple of days off in training. Do that. There's other ways to rest players. So I don't know. It just seems to be showing a little bit of naivety there from the manager, Amorim. He's got a lot of good ideas, but he's shown his lack of experience there. But maybe I'm just not seeing the bigger picture on that front. So yeah, it was a really frustrating game to watch. I would like to see Amorim stick to his strongest 11. Just stick to that. And just maybe tweak it from game to game. There's too many big changes from game to game. It's just not good enough. It's not good enough. Players need to know if they are going to be playing so they can get used to it and get into a rhythm, get used to the players around them, get used to the tactics, and then express themselves, move forward, and attack and start winning games. They need to understand that. So, yeah, it was quite a frustrating game to watch, really. But there were some nice moments. I liked Rasmus Højlund's scrappy goal. It was very much a goal poacher's goal, and it was an excellent through ball from Ugarte. I liked that. I really liked Bruno Fernandes' goal. That was well done. Diallo played, done well in the build up to that goal. Mason Mount's continuing his comeback from injury. He still seems a bit rusty, but that's fine. The effort's there. I do think the effort's there, so it's not like the heads have dropped, which is good. Garnacho and Rashford seem to be non-existent. I don't know what's going on there. I personally don't think those two players suit this new system. I don't think they suit it at all. Those two players suit a team that hits teams on the counter. They are very much wingers. And we're playing in a system with no wingers. Not really. The only wingers in this team are fullbacks, wing-backs even. And the attacking players are number 9s and number 10s. So unless those two players can transition effectively to be basically second strikers or number 10s, then I think they are going to struggle moving forward to get into this side. There's still time for Garnacho, but I think I can't help but feel Rashford's finished at United. I can't help but feel it. With regards to Dan Ashworth, well, that was a shock.
Yeah, I mean, something like that can't be mutual. I think when Ineos came in to Manchester United, everyone knew that there was going to be huge changes. There has been massive redundancies within the club, a complete overhaul of the executive of the club in terms of the CEO, CFO, sporting director, technical director, manager, obviously, just recently as well. And you would have expected large changes, but not changes for this position. You know, Dan Ashworth was headhunted for many, many months. He was obviously chased for about 10 months. I think he was on gardening leave for 4 or 5 months. He was paid millions of pounds for. I worked with Dan Ashworth at the FA for probably 2 years, and he's been very successful wherever he's been, at Brighton, West Brom, the FA, at Newcastle most recently. I'm really shocked this morning that this has happened, and it's not a great look at all. It's something that's going to need a lot of explaining, and I think that the statement that the club have put out is really poor.
Let's have a look at that statement. It's very short. It came out just a couple of hours ago. As Gary says, he's not impressed with it. They said this, United. Dan Ashworth will be leaving his role as Sporting Director of Manchester United by mutual agreement. We would like to thank Dan for his work and support during a transitional period for the club and wish him well for the future. Gary, just expand on why you think that's so poor.
Yeah, Manchester United haven't had a voice for 10 years. They've lost their authority, they've lost their boldness. I think they've been getting it back a little bit in the last 12 months. But what's really clear is that there is a fracture here. Something has happened. You can't bring somebody into the level of Dan Ashworth and then lose him after 5 months and think that something hasn't gone wrong. Fans are going to be now asking the question, what's gone wrong? They're going to speculate. It's going to leave huge voids. I think you're better off just punching us in the face with the truth sometimes when it's so obvious that there has been something that's gone wrong between the personalities of Dan Ashworth, Omar Barada, Dave Brailsford, whoever it is in this last few months that have obviously not got on with each other or it's not been working. Just tell us, because it's obvious that something has happened. I think that statement, to be honest with you, is weak. I sacked a manager at my small club League 2 in Salford when I was the operating shareholder for 8 years after 5 months. Really clear, if you sacked a manager after 5 months, you've made a mistake yourself. You've not got something right. I had to come out and explain what went wrong, why it didn't go right, and ultimately you have to own your own troubles. I think with this one, I think that ultimately you are left with answering the questions. You know, did Dan Ashworth, has he left now because he didn't appoint Amorim? Has he left now because he doesn't get on with the CEO? Has he left now because of the performances in the last few weeks and he doesn't agree with the system of play? You're asking lots of questions that don't need to. It may just be really simple. Sometimes you appoint people in business and it doesn't work. And it's quite clear that you have all good intentions of it working and it doesn't work when you get through the door and you think, oh, I've made a mistake here, and you just have to correct it as quickly as possible. If that's the case, just tell us that and maybe we can move on. But obviously Dan Ashworth hasn't spoken. There's no statement from him. There's no statement from Omar Barada. There's no statement from anybody in particular. It's just a club statement that, I say, it needed more than that on this one, I think.
Is there anything they've done that you've been impressed by?
No, I mean, some of those things were necessary changes that would have needed to have happened, and to be fair, they've made some unpopular decisions that, you know, you can back. There are also things that, to be fair, I think that they will not do again. I think ticket prices partway through a season is a no-no. I think you just make sure you do it at the start of next season. I don't think they'll do that again. Obviously, getting the appointment of Erik ten Hag, I actually could see why, after beating Manchester City, that they would want to try and keep it stable, even though it was a high risk. It was high risk bringing in someone else. What I would say is I don't think they will have... I mean, they knew this was going to be a really difficult job. I think it's probably hitting them this morning how difficult it's going to be. Although Jim Ratcliffe did say last week we've become a mediocre club. So I think when your owner that's come in who's spent, you know, over £1 billion of his own money is calling the club mediocre, he recognises that they're in a pretty bad place. The turbulence that they're having at this moment in time, they will not have expected. They now need a period of stability. They now need to almost, in some ways, just allow the season to sort of, if you like, continue and let the football do the talking. The problem is the football on the pitch is woeful. It really is. It's not good. So the football is not getting them out of trouble as well at this moment in time. So there's a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do.
Tim.
That was one out of left field. I have heard that the situation is that it was just kind of a clash of personality with Dan Ashworth. He just wasn't quite fitting in. He was a little bit too passive. In the boardroom or in the office or wherever it is he operates as sporting director. That's what I have heard. But still, I mean, he's only been there for 5 months. So you'd think he'd still be bedding in, really. And I think, personally, he's had a good summer. I mean, the signings that we had in the summer have been fantastic. I mean, Ugarte is just getting better with game by game, as I've already mentioned. Mazraoui has been the absolute signing of the season, of the decade so far, 12 million or something like that, and he's just been brilliant every game he's played. Xerxes, well, it's too early to tell. I mean, he's shown flashes, but he's scored some goals, and he's looked quite good. He looks like he's got potential. Who else did we sign? Lenny Yoro, too early to tell for that lad. And Matthias de Ligt, well, we got him for a snip, and he's looked good so far. And apparently, Dan Ashworth didn't seem to have much of an involvement in Amorim being signed. That seemed to be an Omar Barada signing. So, I don't know, maybe Dan Ashworth disagreed with that? Maybe Dan Ashworth wanted Ruud van Nistelrooy. Maybe Dan Ashworth wanted to keep Erik ten Hag. I don't know. But I'm sick of all this chopping and changing. First it was the managers, now it seems to be the sporting directors. All this chopping and changing with the players. Everyone's just getting chopped and changed. So no one can get used to the job. And sometimes it does take, there's a teething process that needs to be endured before people can really get used to a winning side and really build a winning side. So Man United are just in chaos at the moment. I really hope Sir Jim knows what he's doing and we haven't got a Mike Ashley situation at Man United. Who knows how these things are going to play out? And who's he going to bring in as the new sporting director? Well, personally, I would like to see Edwin van der Sar as the sporting director. He knows the club. He knows what the club's all about. He's worked very well with younger players and bargain signings over in Ajax. I think he seems to be a very astute, intelligent man. Get him in. Why not? We've missed out on Paul Mitchell. I mean, where's he at now? Who knows? Because he would have been my first choice first time round. I wasn't too fussed about Dan Ashworth, but we got him in, and he had a good summer. So something's gone on behind closed doors there, but I'm sure it'll all come out in the wash at some point. But we can't keep on going on like this. Manchester United are a club in desperate need of consistency. That's what they need. But anyway, if you've listened this long in the video, if you watched this long in the video, you are obviously engaged in this content. So please, if you're interested in what I've got to say, I am very interested in what you've got to say. What do you think's going on at Manchester United? What do you think happened with Dan Ashworth? What do you think's going on with Ruben Amorim? Please, thoughts in the comments. Bye for now.